My name is Shasta Kearns Moore. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I have identical twin boys. And one of them has cerebral palsy and has a lot of medical bills. And so I decided to write a book and see if it would provide funds for his medical needs. My husband and I got married in 2008, and we thought that we wanted to start a family a couple years later. My husband was really interested in having kids, and when I became pregnant, he was constantly joking with me about that they were going to be twins. But it wasn't until we went in for the 20-week ultrasound that they were like, oh, there's two babies in there. And we had about an hour to figure out how life-changing it would be to have twins and not just one before a parade of medical people came in, and we realized that what we really had to worry about was not having any babies. They were born at 30 weeks, and that's about 7.5 months, and so we've thought, okay, we're in the clear, you know, maybe they'll be bad at math or something, but nothing that we can't handle. But then, you know, they had an ultrasound, and there was a little tiny spot of blood, and I thought, oh, well, it'll probably clear up, and then they had an ultrasound the next week, and it was everywhere. That was a really, really, really hard time. I cried every day for 2 months. Finally, I got on Amazon one day and started looking at books, and the first book I read was Norman Doidge's The Brain That Can Change Itself, which is an amazing book, and it all talks about brain plasticity and you know, stroke patients and all these amazing things that are kind of cutting-edge brain science. And so we were going to a cutting-edge hospital, so we went in for our first developmental appointment with Malachi and said, okay, we're going to do something like this, right? And no, they were, you know, in my opinion, still stuck in the Stone Ages of treating it like a muscle disorder instead of a brain disorder. The first time we went to the Anat Ben-Yeal Method Center in San Rafael, I wasn't really familiar with the method, but we were seeing some pretty interesting things. He would be noticeably happier, noticeably looser, and he seemed different, and so that's why we kept going.
Working with the kids diagnosed with cerebral palsy, I really understood from the beginning that it's the brain that is somehow unable to do what it does with healthy children spontaneously. I also understood that they don't have like a bad brain or a retarded brain necessarily, but that there is something that's getting in the way for the spontaneous growth of skills. With cerebral palsy, almost always the muscles are intact, the bones are intact, the structure is intact, but the ability of the brain to generate information and to organize what it has is offline or off the tracks. And the moment we're able to communicate with the brain in a way that it can make sense of itself and of the body, the child starts doing things that otherwise they wouldn't be able to do.
Most of Malachi's challenges are physical. He's a very, very intelligent little man. But what is also interesting is that he has a twin brother. So the parents are very clearly able to compare him with his twin. For a long time, he didn't really want to move. Where we're working with him at the moment is in rolling up to sitting or pushing up to sitting, and he's getting the idea that he can actually catch his weight with his hands, that can bring him up, that actually he could like to be up. This is where we're at, because obviously once he can be up and sitting and take his weight on his hands, then there's the expectation that he can then start shifting weight onto all fours, and with that can ultimately come crawling on all fours, and then the next thing and the next thing, the next thing. And as I say, we can't promise what's going to happen, but he shows every sign of having the capability of going on to those next stages.
So we discovered this great thing that was helping our child, and then we realized, okay, how are we going to pay for it? You know, when we first started taking ABM lessons, we were on food stamps, and there was just no help. Here we have found something. We've found, you know, the thing that can help our child, and it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars. So my husband and I were sitting in bed one night and talking about these issues, and I had made a children's book that I had laminated into little cards and would read to them, and Matt said, why don't you make that into a real book and sell it? So I polished it up and made it something that I felt could be, you know, a real book. And then I put it up on Kickstarter, and a week and a half later, we had met our goal. It's all for publishing the book. The idea is that the book is going to fund Malachi's treatments in perpetuity. You know, when we've had newspaper articles and we had a TV spot, it was amazing, and everybody was so excited about it, and all my friends were sharing on Facebook, and it was just so uplifting to have that community of support come together for us. But it only goes so far. I feel like we're ready for a bigger stage, and that people from all walks of life have really told me that they love this book, but I only have such a big microphone to tell people about it. So I think it would be amazing if we could get some national coverage and just shout to the world about this book. I mean, it's really a universal message that I think could really go far.